The Phoenix Mercury were semi-finalists in last year's WNBA season, and after having a pretty successful off-season, acquiring talents of Diamond DeShields and Tina Charles, many expected them to be back in the race for the championship again. However, things have not gone exactly to plan in the first half of this WNBA season for the Mercury, with them currently sitting outside of the playoff picture as I write this script, in 9th with a record of 10-14. So, what's caused this disappointing year thus far? What changes should they make to fix the issues I'll highlight in this video? And if the rumours of a potential Diggins-Smith trade are true, should the Mercury genuinely try blowing things up a bit to retool the roster? I'll be discussing all of that and more in today's video. Before we start, if you're new here and enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe for more women's basketball content like this. But with that being said, let's talk about the Phoenix Mercury and what's been happening to this historically elite franchise. As I mentioned at the top of the video, the Mercury are currently 10-14 through 24 games this season, and though they've improved a bit through their last 10 games or so, they're still barely at 500 in those matches, a 5-5 record in their last 10 games. There are some evident issues with the playstyle of this team, but firstly, I'll make clear one big reason why the Mercury have been struggling thus far this season. Obviously, the Mercury have unexpectedly been forced to play without their arguable best player this season in Brittney Griner, who's been unlawfully held over in Russia. As we all pray for her safe return, Phoenix have had to quickly make up for her absence, and this unexpected situation has resulted in probably some mediocre play from Phoenix. For example, the Mercury were a top 3 rebounding team last season and a top 6 offensive rebounding team. This season, however, they are now by far the worst rebounding team in the league. It's an enormous drop-off, and it's undoubtedly been caused from Griner's absence. However, Griner's absence isn't the only thing I believe that is holding the Mercury back this season, because, let's be real, she's not their only elite player. Just think of players like Diggins-Smith, Diana Taurasi when she gets going, etc., who are still on the team. Plus, the Mercury, in my opinion, had an excellent off-season, signing DeShields and Charles, and though I'll get into their problems that have unfolded since with these signings a bit later, at the time on paper, it should have kept them in contention for the championship. So, with that said, aside from Griner's inability to play, why are the Mercury currently struggling? Because on paper, as I said, this roster still should be a top 6 playoff team at the very least. Personally, I think the culture of the Mercury right now might not be the greatest. There are a ton of competitive figures on this team, and while that can be a great thing, if players clash, it can lead to problems on the court. This happens in all sports and all leagues, and it might be affecting the Mercury right now, as out of any WNBA team, these players seem to have the most arguments and disagreements on the floor. A big indication of this potentially is the divorce of contract with Tina Charles midway through the season. There was no clear explanation for this decision, but it was a mutually agreed upon decision, so why would this happen, especially with such a culturally beneficial player like Charles? We saw her enormous impact on Washington last season, stepping up as a mature leader for a team tormented by injuries. So, why would she want to leave the Mercury in this situation? One logical reason would be that she didn't want to play in such a large role like she did in Washington. She signed with the Mystics expecting a smaller role and didn't get it due to those injuries, and yet again was forced into a similar situation with Phoenix this season. She was absolutely elite in her time there, averaging 17 points per game on great shooting splits, but again, at this point in her career, as she stated multiple times, she's wanted a smaller role. However, I think potentially a dysfunctional group also led to her asking to be released as well, as it was pretty evident in some moments that she wasn't meshing well with some of the core players and coach. Another indication of a potentially toxic culture is the report that Diggins-Smith may be on the trade block right now for the Mercury. If this is true, it's pretty wild, because Diggins-Smith is by far the Mercury's most consistent player at the moment. Top 5 in the league in scoring with averages of 19 points per game on good efficiency, as well as being an elite playmaker all the while, just recently dishing out 9 assists in a crucial win against the New York Liberty. To move their best player for seemingly no real reason may suggest there is internal problems, especially with Skylar publicly calling out the Mercury's head coach on Twitter, calling her a clown about a week ago. Rossi and Diggins-Smith do regularly have a go at each other too, and there's a pretty viral clip of them from this season needing to be separated after an altercation on the bench. This could obviously just be two competitors being heated in the moment of an intense game, but at the same time, with these reports and her recent statements about her coach, it is a concern. The Diggins-Smith trade report and those two clashing, as well as the friction between Diggins-Smith and the head coach, could just be coincidental. But I think there's more beneath the surface that we don't know about right now, and this is why I think some internal issues may be negatively affecting the Mercury at the moment, and potentially lead them to losing their best two players in Charles and now Diggins-Smith within a couple months. Finally, a big reason why I believe the Mercury have struggled this season is because there's a lot of passengers on the team, or more specifically, players who aren't putting in a full 40 minutes. Defensively, the Mercury have been rubbish at times, especially in transition, and on the glass, they've been equally as bad. The effort just hasn't been there. This is a major issue when you're missing your star player. Like, I'm not expecting the Mercury to be better without Griner, but you would hope that some players try to step up in all areas to assist in filling that void, but that doesn't seem like that's the case currently. It feels like there have been little to no adjustments made by head coach Vanessa Nygaard either, and even when players like Rossi give up on plays, there's no real backlash for that. As a result, the defensive effort has been poor. There can be an over-reliance on Diggins-Smith to carry the offense, and overall, the play of the Mercury has been extremely predictable. Losing the advantage of Griner obviously hurts, but if everyone pulls their weight on both sides of the ball, and I'm talking to you, Rossi, mainly here, this team can still compete with the best of the best. But since that's not happening right now, it's why they are stuck in this situation. So, what do the Mercury need to do to fix these problems? Is a big trade involving a player like Diggins-Smith really the answer? Honestly, I think trading Diggins-Smith seems completely irrational unless she's personally requested one herself. She's the Mercury's best player and just needs some more offensive help, especially since Tina Charles departed. If players like DeShields can get some more minutes under their belt, I think they can develop well in this system and provide some impact. But at the moment, older and often ineffective defenders like Rossi take up a bulk of the minutes. I respect the hell out of Diana Rossi, but her defensive effort sometimes can be detrimental to this team. And to be quite frank, she's been extremely streaky shooting-wise this season. Hence, I think the best way to try fix these issues is change up the rotations a bit, give some more minutes to the younger pieces. There's just an over-reliance on a couple players at the moment, and it feels like a lot of individuals playing basketball out there, not a collective unit, and that is holding them back ultimately. Anyway, we'll see how the group bounce back after the All-Star break. They've got a solid run home to finish the year, so by all means, this season isn't a complete disaster yet. So, barring that they sharpen up, put their egos aside and get back to the basics that won them games consistently over the past few seasons, they are definitely still a threat to push for the championship. But hey, we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. But what do you guys think of this? What's affecting the Mercury in your opinion? Be sure to drop your opinions down below in the comments. I would love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a like and subscribe. But with that being said, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.